Hi everybody! Right, today we're going to do a story that's quite sad really. I remember it from being a child and I liked it, but I think I remembered it because it was sad. So let's see how you think about it. It's a story called The Little Match Girl. And matches are these things. Yeah, and when you strike a match, let's quickly show you, makes fire. Oh, you mustn't play with fire. Just wanted to know what matches were before we started, okay? It was terribly cold and it snowed and was already almost dark. And the evening came on, and it was the last evening of the year. In the cold and gloom, a poor little girl, bareheaded and barefoot, was walking through the streets. When she left her own house, she certainly did have slippers on, but what use were they? They were very big slippers, and her mother had used them until then, so they were really big. The little maid lost them as she slipped across the road when two carriages were rattling by terribly fast. One slipper was not to be found again, and a boy had seized the other and run away with it. He said he could use it very well as a cradle when he was older and he had children of his own. So now the little girl went with her little naked feet, which were quite red and blue with the cold. In an apron she carried a number of matches and a bundle of them in her hand. No one had bought anything from her all day, and no one had given her a farthing's money. So she was selling matches. Shivering with cold and hunger, she crept along, a picture of misery, a poor little girl. The snowflakes covered her long fair hair, which fell in pretty curls over her neck, but she did not think about that now. In all of the windows lights were shining, and there was even the glorious smell of a roast goose, for it was New Year's Eve. Yes, she thought of that. In a corner formed by two houses, one of which projected beyond the other, she sat down, cowering. She had drawn up her little feet, and she was still colder, and she dare not go home for she's not sold any matches, and she did not bring a farthing of money. From her father she would certainly receive a beating, and besides, it was cold at home, for they had nothing over them but a roof through which the wind whistled through the largest rents that had been stopped with straw and rags. Really poor. Her little hands were almost benumbed with the cold. Ah, a match might do her good, if she could only draw one from the bundle and rub it against a wall and warm her hands at it. She drew one out. She held her hands over it. It was a wonderful little light. It really seemed to the little girl as if she sat before a great fire. How it burned and how comfortable it was, but the little flame went out and the stove vanished, and she had only the remains of the burned match in her hand. A second was rubbed against a wall, and it burned up, and when the light fell upon the wall, it became transparent like a thin veil, and she could see through it into the room. On the table a snow-white cloth was spread. Upon it stood a shining dinner service, and a roast goose smoked gloriously, stuffed with apples and dried plums. And what was still more splendid to behold, the goose hopped down from the dish and waddled across the floor with a knife and fork in its breast to the little girl. Then the match went out, and only a thick, damp, cold wall was in front of her. So she strikes the match as she's seeing all these wonderful images, all these things, all her dreams. She lighted another match. Then, let's light one. Then, looking at the match, she was sitting under a beautiful Christmas tree. It was greater and more ornamented than the one she'd seen through the glass in the last Christmas at the rich merchant's house. Thousands of candles burned upon the green branches and coloured pictures like the print shops looked down upon them. The little girl stretched forth her hand towards them, and the match went out. The Christmas lights mounted higher. She saw them, for now they were stars in the sky. One of them fell down, forming a long line of fire. Now someone's dying, thought the little girl, for her old grandmother, the only person who had loved her, and who was now dead, had told her that when a star fell down, a soul mounted up to God. She rubbed another match against the wall. It became bright again, and in the brightness the old grandmother stood clear, shining, mild and lovely. Grandmother, cried the child, take me with you. I know you will go when the match has burned out. You will vanish like a warm fire, the beautiful roast goose and the great glorious Christmas tree. And she hastily rubbed the whole bundle of matches, for she wished to hold her grandmother fast. And the matches burned with such a glow that it became brighter than the middle of the day, and grandmother had never been so large and so beautiful. She took the little girl in her arms, and they both flew in brightness and joy above the earth, very, very high, and up there it was neither cold nor hunger nor care, because they were with God. But on the other corner, leaning against the wall, sat in the cold morning hours the poor girl with red cheeks and smiling mouth, frozen to death on the last evening of the old year. The New Year's sun rose upon a little corpse. The child sat there stiff and cold, with the matches of which one bundle was burned. She wanted to warm herself, the people said, but no one imagined what a beautiful thing she had seen, and in what glory she had gone in with her grandmother to the New Year's joy. So it is sad, but it's also nice, because people would have thought that she was just trying to keep warm. But when she went up with her grandmother. Anyway, bit deep that one, isn't it? Don't worry, you're all young and lovely and it's all good. So don't worry about that. Nobody's sitting and striking matches in the cold today.